Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The energy revealed. Brooklyn to Queens, reppin' both hoods. Rob and CP, keep it fire, misunderstood. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city sand lights to the skyline greens, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. Rob hype on the mic, CP's the fire spark. Together they ignite, voices like the park. Fans drift in jerseys, legacy bold. The Metropolitan story forever told. Turnstile spinning, the crowd floods the gates. This is family, no time for debates. Crack of the Batman, the roar never fades. Queens in the blood, it's how champions are made. Cheer 'em all loud, let the anthem flow. Mets fans unite at the pregame show. From city stand lights to the skyline gleams, it's the heartbeat of Queens, the craziest dreams. 7-line swagger, vibes electric and wild. Mets legacy golden since I was a child. Orange crushed skies, let the battle ignite. Ride for the home team till the last fight.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. How are we feeling, Mets fans, after yesterday's home run barrage by our New York Mets? 7 home runs to be exact. 7 solo home runs to be exact to beat the Philadelphia Phillies yesterday 11-4 as the Mets finally snapped that 7-game losing streak, get back in the win column, and now have a chance today to win the series against those damn Philadelphia Phillies. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into the show, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into Game 3 preview with David Peterson on the mound for our New York Mets and the lefty Jesus Luzardo for the Philadelphia Phillies. What a game yesterday for our New York Mets. It saved the Mets fans' psyche so much yesterday. Phillies took an early lead. Social media was going ape shit crazy, but Francisco Lindor hit that home run, and everything just took off from there. The 28-game streak is still alive when Lindor hits a home run, and the New York Mets are back in the win column. They're back tied for first place, and they got 2 things on their mind today: retaking the NL East and beating the Phillies in another series this season. And this would be huge. This would be 5 out of 6 for the first 6 games of the year against the Philadelphia Phillies with 7 games to go. And that is a great start for the New York Mets, considering that we all think that this Mets versus Phillies division race is going to come down to the wire. All these games matter against them, considering the fact that tiebreakers can come to play later in the season. So overall, guys, the Mets are 46-31. It was a rough week for sure. You know, social media was going through it for sure. Met fans were definitely feeling the burn over the Braves sweep in general. The Rays sweep is kind of like, all right, sooner or later it was going to happen. Not a great time to do it, but we got swept. The Braves sweep was very, very painful for our New York Mets fans because of the fact the way they played. Not necessarily that it was against the Braves. I mean, it hurt just as much because it was the Braves. But the way they played, they looked like they were disinterested. They didn't want to be there. It looked like the Braves were the better team. And I asked the question on multiple shows already. Was it the Braves that started to turn it on and they were still very good? Or was it the Mets just playing so bad they made the Braves look better than they actually did? I'm going to go on the further end here and say that the Mets made the Braves look better than they actually were. Now, and because right after the Braves, the Braves swept the Mets, they lost the next game to the Marlins and got their ass kicked. And on top of that, to put the icing on the cake, by losing against the Marlins, Chris Sale is on the IL with a broken rib. So very, very amazing to see that the turnaround and the thought process just within that Braves series, going into the Phillies series after we lost the first game. A lot of things happened since then. The Mets actually came alive with the offense. The Griffin Cannon pitched extremely gutsy performance in yesterday's game. And Juan Soto finally became a Met, and everything came into perspective rather quickly when it comes to Juan Soto finally looking like Juan Soto. Now, he's had really good numbers over the month of June. Like, I know a lot of people don't want to say that and look at that, but he had over 1,000 OPS. He was batting over 300. The home runs were there, but yesterday just felt different. He was upset when he missed the pitch that he thought he can crush. And then when he got that next pitch, he destroyed it into the stands for 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 for 5 on the game. And he was just outstanding. This is the Juan Soto we wanted to see from the get-go. It took him till game 78, but that's okay. It happened. Yesterday was a lot of fun. And yesterday was so important for many reasons. Obviously, to not lose the series, number one, to snap the losing streak as well, but also you get back on the win column. The Phillies looked bad yesterday. They just couldn't handle what the Mets threw at them offensively at all. And on top of that, it actually gave the Mets an opportunity to now win a series, take back first place, and to go on a 2-game winning streak, coming back home to face the depleted Braves now, which they're going to throw the Striders of the world. They're going to throw the Schwellenbach, and now they can't throw Chris Sale. So that's one less pitcher we have to worry about in a 4-game series. But you're going in feeling good, coming back home. You win this series against the Philadelphia Phillies, Met fans are going to be going crazy. Knowing that we took back the NL East, we're up a game, going to Philly Field against the Braves. It's going to be a rockin' City Field, and that's what we want, right? You don't want to have all types of conspiracy theories and, who should we fire and, what player should get sent down. Oh, by the way, Francisco Alvarez, if you've been living under a rock, has been sent down to AAA just after he hit a home run, a monster shot yesterday in Philadelphia. Obviously, the game was out of hand by then, but it was nice to see him show that power that we were desperately waiting for from Francisco Alvarez. But nonetheless, he gets sent down to AAA. Hayden Senga comes up to replace him. And now Francisco Alvarez only has to worry about getting where we thought he could be offensively. And defensively, I don't know if they're going to change that because this is the way they teach catchers nowadays, by staying on one knee, worry about framing way too much, not blocking the ball the way they should by putting their body in front of it and turning the glove over when the ball's in the dirt. But it's more about his bat, in my opinion. And that is why the New York Mets sent them down. And I want to make everything clear here. If you didn't tune into the show earlier today, the Mets Talk Live. By the way, guys, if you're not following me on TikTok, please do TMWR_NYM. I went live on TikTok for the first time this season. So if you're on TikTok and, you just like TikTok and you just want to go on there more often than not, I'm going to be going live on certain shows on TikTok from here on out. I said it on Mets Talk Live that this wasn't a decision made last night. This wasn't a decision made this morning. This was a decision that was probably in the works for a couple of weeks. And they were probably holding off, hoping that Francisco Alvarez figures it out. Because it's clearly not an injury, especially with the hand. Because if it was, they would put him on the IL. They wouldn't send him down because they think he's hurt. And just, instead of putting him on the IL, just send him down and just bring somebody up. It was clear that they were very frustrated with his play, and the defense started to take a toll as well, where he wasn't blocking balls. He was making bad throws as well, and that is where I think the Mets just got totally fed up with Francisco Alvarez, and this was already in the works weeks ago when it comes to Francisco Alvarez. They gave him a lot of time, and at some point, you have to go with the better player at this point. And Luis Torrens is the better player, and Senga has been a serviceable backup when he was up in the beginning of the season when Alvarez was still working back from his rehab. So, look, accountability matters, right? When you're not playing well, there's got to be accountability. The Mets showed that last year with Brett Beatty and Vientos, and they made that move. They did it this year when they sent back Beatty to the minor leagues. When you're not playing well, when you got options, you have the possibility of being sent down when you don't perform. And that goes for Beatty. That happened earlier in the season. And now that happens to Francisco Alvarez today. So it was kind of shocking. It came out of nowhere. Some people thought it would never happen, that the Mets have too much belief and trust in Alvarez that he's going to figure it out. And they did it. And what that shows me is that if you got options, you better play well. And if you look at the lineup today, guess who's playing? Luis Acuna. He's another one that might be on the chip on the block very, very soon to be set down when Vientos is ready, right? It could still be Ronnie Mauricio, which I don't think is going to be Ronnie Mauricio. I think Mauricio is going to play more often than not. And I think Luis Acuna is going to get sent down for Vientos, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. I think this is an opportunity here where Luis Acuna is going to get probably this game and probably the homestand, a lot of those games, to see what he can do. And if not, he's going to make the Mets' decision very easy. I know they like him with the pinch runner and the defensive replacement that they've been using him for about a month now. But it's not, if they want him to become the player that they expect him to become, he can't do that on the bench at the major league level. Just because he can run, you can use him as a runner, a pinch runner, and a defensive replacement is not growing him as a player offensively. And I think that's ultimately hurting him. And that is why I think they're going to send down Luis Acuna when Vientos is ready. Brad, I heard them say Vientos is coming back tomorrow, but it seemed like it was kind of like, it didn't seem like a 100% proof of a report. But I could be wrong. You could be right. That could be a big reason why Luis Acuna is playing. Maybe they did not really decide yet between Mauricio and Acuna, or they just send. I don't know who else they will send down, because there's really not many people to send down here, unless they do send down Beatty again. But I mean, Beatty would be off the team because he has no more options. That is the reason why it's either going to be Mauricio or Acuna. I don't think the Mets want to lose Beatty, because Beatty has been very good defensively at second and third, mostly third base, but at second base as well. I don't think they want to lose Brett Beatty right now. So it could be it could be Jared Young, but I think they like his bat. I think they like the potential of his power that he showed yesterday. I think they like the power. I think we're some people are losing, not you guys, but in general, that every time Jared Young's in the lineup, social media goes crazy. Why is he in the lineup? Blah 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 and all that. Because they like the power. If you haven't noticed, that's why they keep on bringing Brett Beatty back up. That's why they brought in Mauricio back, brought him from the minors, because they like the potential of the power. If you got power, you have potential to be on this team. Luis Acuna shows no power. Like, he showed it last year when he came up when Lindor was hurt. But he hasn't shown no power this year, and no power doesn't provide any run production. And again, Luis Acuna has found a way to benefit this team by his speed, mostly, but the Mets don't want to start a guy like Luis Acuna often, because they don't believe that the production is there enough. Now, batting him ninth, his speed can come into play. You saw yesterday he hit a ball on the ground that should have been a routine ground ball. He almost beat it out. So I think the fact that Acuna hasn't shown any power. I think it's going to ultimately hurt him if they do decide to option Acuna to the minors, to AAA, and replace him with Vientos. Because again, Beatty can play multiple positions. He can play second. He can play third. I know Acuna can play third base, but I don't think they like him at third base. You got too many guys at third base at this point. I think they like a Beatty at second base. Beatty has shown a lot of improvement defensively, and because he can provide that power. And you see what happens when Beatty can get hot. When Beatty gets hot, he hits the ball over the wall. That is something that they look for. That is what they've been doing it. And they've been showing us over the course of this year. They want guys that can provide some power here. That's why Jared Young is here. Jared Young is here because he can hit the ball over the wall. We were talking about, why didn't they bring up somebody else other than Jared Young? One, because they like his power. And that just shows you what they are looking for at the major league level, right? Acuna provides a talent that many guys don't have, and the Mets lack speed. Acuna has that, right? The Mets have been very efficient with stolen bases, but Acuna can go first to home in a blink of an eye on a double, when most guys in this lineup probably can't. So it is going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do. And if they do decide to bring Vientos in tomorrow, back up with the team tomorrow, then we'll see who it's going to be. I just feel like the only guy that's not improving with the bat is Luisano Acuna, because they're not playing him every day, right? Mauricio's got more playing time than Acuna since he's come up, which makes no sense. Right? Acuna should be playing every day. But again, Jeff McNeil has been very good. And you're not sitting him to play Acuna. You're just not. Right? You're going to trust the veteran in McNeil over Acuna with the bat. And that has been the problem. If Acuna was, showing a little bit of pop in his bat and playing well with the bat, because remember, guys, he did beat out Brett Beatty for second base. He was playing every day. He failed when he got the opportunity to play every day. And then when Acuna failed and Winker got hurt, Brett Beatty came up and he took over the job again. And that is on Luisano Acuna. That is on nobody else. Acuna had the second base job. When McNeil came back, Acuna still had the second base job because McNeil was playing center field. He was playing left field. He was DHing. He was doing everything but playing second base because Acuna had the job. Acuna lost it. That's on Luisano Acuna. Nobody else's fault but his. When McNeil played second base, he started to play well. He started to hit the ball. You're always going to trust a veteran who is performing well over Luisano Acuna and a younger player who lost the job and who hasn't shown anything with the bat when he got the opportunities, or enough with the bat when he got the opportunity. Right? This is not burying Luisano Acuna. Again, at the end of the day, if reports are true, and the Mets are looking for a center fielder, a no-brainer center fielder, a really good bat at center field, or they're looking for another bat, wherever the position might be. Most likely it should be center field, but a very good bat or a really good starter or a high-leverage bullpen arm. Luisano Acuna is going to be trade package, probably more for a bat than a high leverage reliever. I don't think Acuna is going to be on the list for the Mets to trade for a higher leverage reliever. I think you can get a high leverage reliever by not giving up that type of prospect. But a guy like Duran or a guy like Mullins, I think you might have to give up, even if it's a 1-for-1 swap, especially with Mullins, because he's on the final year of a contract. You can do a 1-for-1 swap most likely. Duran's going to take a lot more, but I think Acuna is trade bait at this point. He hasn't been doing enough and again, I don't think it's all Acuna's fault, except for he had the second base job until he lost it. That's his fault. But not playing his fault, saying that it's his fault now is not fair because they don't play him anymore. he's more valuable as a pinch runner and a defensive replacement late in games. That's just a fact. So, and again, once again, that is why it's going to be very fascinating tomorrow when Vientos, or if Vientos gets optioned back up to the big league club. Are they going to send Acuna down, or are they going to send Young down? I don't think they're sending Mauricio down. I think they love the talent and they believe in Ronnie Mauricio. I don't think that it hasn't been enough time to send Mauricio back down, in my opinion. I think he's been getting better. He's been having better at bats since his first 10 at bats when he came up. So, and he's playing every day now, Mauricio. So I still don't believe that he's going to get sent down. Yeah, Mauricio, he hasn't sucked right now. He's been better than his first 10 at bats. And again, this is the same thing with Mauricio when it comes to Beatty. Mauricio has the potential of showing that power. The same thing with Beatty. That is the reason why they're choosing to play other guys than Luis Acuna. Now, Acuna's in a lineup today, but that could be just to give him, hey kid, you done your job for us to help us win with your speed. This can be, hey, listen, this is not a demotion, but we're gonna play you today because you've been so beneficial for us with your speed and defensive replacement late in games that we wanted to give you a little bit of a nod, say, hey, we're going to start you today. That could be an issue. Acuna can already know he's getting sent down, right? I don't think this is going to be a last-minute thing where they haven't told anybody who's getting sent down. I think this is an opportunity for Acuna to play today, saying, hey, kid, you did your job here, what we needed from you. We want you to become a better player. We want you to become a better offensive player with the bat. And you're not going to be able to do that up here with McNeil playing well, with Mauricio showing better at-bats, and with Beatty here, who they still believe in. And they're not losing Beatty just yet, because you take him off the team, he gets put on waivers because Beatty has no more option. So, unfortunately, Acuna is probably going to get sent down. But again, we'll wait and see tomorrow if they're going to option Beatty back up with option Vientos back up with the big club, and we'll see who he replaces on the roster come tomorrow if they decide to do that. So once again, guys, if you're looking at the lineup, it's Lindor, Marte to DH. Obviously, Marte always bats second when there's a lefty on the mound. And again, I like this for lineup tonight. I do like the fact that Acuna's in the lineup today. I think this is just a, there you go, kid. You did what you needed to do for this team, but we're going to give you the start today, but you're probably going to get sent down tomorrow. I think that's probably a conversation they had with him, in my opinion, because he hasn't started at all. Like, this kid is not getting at bats the way he should be getting at bats. And I think it's the fact that he's just not shown any power. And it sucks because we know he could probably hit 10 to 12 home runs, right? That's all. He's not going to be a guy that hits 25 home runs or more. Like, maybe in a really good year, he'll hit 20 home runs, but I think he's probably a 10 to 15 home run guy. But that's fine when you can steal bases at will and you can play very good defense. But he needs to get on base. He has to realize that walks are very helpful for him because he can use a walk and make that into a double by his speed and his stolen base. So he has to get on base more. He has to make sure that his eye is a lot better at the plate so he can take his walks. And when he doesn't get the walks, he needs to put the bat on the ball because his speed can beat out base hits in the infield, get infield hits. A base hit and an outfielder, being lackadaisical in the outfield, he can take that second base. He can take that next base. That is something that he needs to learn at the minor league level. You got to stop bringing these guys up to learn at the big league level. It's stupid. You have a minor league level for a reason. This isn't the end. This isn't football where you get drafted and most likely you're on the roster, you're on the team. You either practice or you're on the team and you play on Sunday and you got to figure it out at the NFL level. This is totally different. There's 3 levels of the minor league, 4 levels if you want to talk about the instructional league. There's 4 levels of minor leagues to develop. Unless you're a bad team that brings up prospects, there's no time from developing at the major league level when you're trying to win a division, when you're trying to win in the playoffs, or trying to win independent, and ultimately a World Series. So we will see what happens with Acuna or possibly Jared Young tomorrow. If Vientos does get called up to the big league club again, we'll see. But the lineup today against the Phillies, the rubber game, the Mets could possibly win a series against the Phillies and go 5-1 on the season so far in the first 6 games against the Phillies, which would be huge when it comes to tie-breaking purposes. We got Lindor, Marte as the DH, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Torrens, Taylor, Mauricio, and Acuna. And the typical lineup that you've seen the last couple of days for the Philadelphia Phillies, they basically had the same lineup for the first 2 games of the series and now the 3rd game of the series as well. So once again, guys, if you've been living under a rock or you've just been too busy today on this Sunday, I know it's hot in New York. It's hot almost everywhere in the East Coast. Alvarez sent down the AAA. Hayden Sanger up, replacing Francisco Alvarez. And it looks like Luis Torrens is going to be the starting catcher for the foreseeable future until, I guess, Alvarez figures things out here in the minors. So Luis Torrens is now the starting catcher. He is in the lineup today, and Hayden Sanger replaces Alvarez on the roster as the backup catcher. With that said, guys, thank you for tuning into the Amazing Mets pregame show right here on the channel and on X. Enjoy the game, guys. I won't be doing a post-game today, but I do believe Chris is possibly going to do a post-game after the game, most likely with Zach later tonight after the ball game, hopefully talking about a Mets W. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Good night.
Seven train rumble, headed to the field, orange and blue vibes, the energy.